love that it's very purposeful.
Yes.
Because we often hear so much about business being only about money, but the reality is there are so many businesses that are operating based on purpose first, and both can go hand in hand, right? You don't only have to have just the financials make sense. It could also have something deeper, a deeper meaning.
So I was always like, okay, I have to try harder. I have to work harder. I felt confident because I know I'm good at things. Like when I put my mind on it, I'm always going to do something to 100%. That's just my personality. I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it. I learned that too. I wasn't a business person. I just had a great visionary idea. And even at my 5-year mark, I took a business course because I knew I was making money. I couldn't figure out how to make data out of it. I wasn't educated. You have to learn how to use your resources to your best interests, you know, and be smart. A smart business person hires people smarter than them,
Right.
to make it all happen.
Welcome back to the FoundHers Circle podcast. Today we are joined by our friend Luba, who is an amazing entrepreneur, wife, mom, businesswoman, and children's book author. She has an amazing story, and I know that you'll be inspired by listening to it. Luba, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited about this conversation. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be with you. So I am a speech language pathologist first and foremost, but through my times that I became one, ever since I became a speech pathologist, all I wanted to do was help people. And because of that, I was able to open a business. Never imagined it would grow into what it did. But now it is open for 11 years.
Wow.
11 years.
Time flies.
It's amazing. And so I own brick and mortar private practice. It's called Kidology. There's 2 locations. They're in Pennsylvania. And we offer speech pathology, obviously, because that's my piece, speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and ABA services for children birth to 21 who are on the spectrum. Some have just some different disabilities or needs. But the whole premise is that we're building impact in the community. We're building a better tomorrow because we're able to help the kids that need it the most today.
That's amazing. Like, I love that it's very purposeful.
Yes.
Because we often hear so much about business being only about money, but the reality is there are so many businesses that are operating based on purpose first, and both can go hand in hand, right? You don't only have to have just the financials make sense. It could also have something deeper, a deeper meaning. And so did you always want to be an entrepreneur? Like, is this something that you grew up thinking, I want to own my own
Such a
business?
good question. You know, I did watch my parents in my childhood. They owned a cafe, they owned a gift shop and a restaurant. Those things did not work out for them, actually. And my family even faced eviction in that time.
Wow.
So I think owning a business wasn't something I had planned for, but I was good at it. I was good at organizing friends for a dance thing at my house from a young age. I was always the leader when we were doing school projects. So I had an understanding of like how things should go. And as I grew older and had different jobs, I was always like really good at getting my work done quickly. And it did occur to me later, like, oh, I think I could run a business. I could do it. And then when I was studying, I ran a website where I sold clothing.
Oh,
that didn't work out for me because it wasn't my bigger thing.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think I had great skills to run a business, but did I plan for it originally? No, I never imagined any of this.
That's interesting. And it's funny how your parents' failures, or if you want to call it that, because I don't think necessarily that.
Lived experience.
Right. Is that what think that's the best term for it?
Yeah.
Didn't scare you away from also taking a leap, because being an entrepreneur obviously comes with certain risks, and
Oh, yeah.
No matter how comfortable you are, like, it's still a leap of faith. What I hear from you is this sort of innate level of confidence that emanates as we speak, and at least that's what I gather. Do you feel like you've always been confident in your skills? And if you didn't, how did you get to that point where you now feel like you could do it?
I think, so this goes back to my upbringing. and culturally, I am from a Russian and Jewish background. And I think we were always generationally, culturally made to work harder to prove ourselves because being Jewish was such a bad thing many, many moons ago. But that carried through my ancestors, that carried through how my parents were brought up. And we're just like a very hardworking society. And I think that my parents, through their hardships, through their immigration and all those things, embedded like this can-do attitude because we're here in America, we have to do well.
Right.
We're going to succeed, you know? And no matter what I've come into in life, like if I got a bad grade on a test, well, there was sometimes like, you didn't try hard, you know? So I was always like, okay, I have to try harder. I have to work harder. I felt confident because I know I'm good at things. Like when I put my mind on it, I'm always going to do something to 100%. That's just my personality. I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it.
Right. You're not going to commit.
So I feel like, yes, I have a good mindset training. I know how to talk to myself. And when I talk to myself about plans, ideas, and now with AI, it's very overwhelming because I want to do 800 things at one time. And I'm like, okay,
settle down.
I do have this confidence embedded in me. I still learn. I changed my mindset from like, I know everything to I can learn everything and be confident in what I'm doing. I think that's where it comes from for me.
Right. I can relate because my parents are also immigrants. And so it's hard to like harness that energy, right? Because I think about it in terms of my kids, right? I don't want them to perhaps go through the same hardships that we did, but at the same time, I want that grit. I want to instill that level.
I think about this all the time.
And I'm like, how do I do that without ensuring I'm going to have to pay for a psychologist? You know, like these are the things that I'm thinking about. Right. Because I obviously, you know, you want better for your kids, but at the same time, I tell this to my brother, like, had we not been through those experiences, would we have turned out the way that we did or had the hunger that we did? And so listening to you say that, it's very relatable to my experience as well. And so let's back up a little bit. You said you're a speech pathologist. What does that entail? What kind of training? What does that actually do? Because pathology sounds like a very big word that maybe people don't understand what it means.
Yeah. In layman's terms, I'm a speech therapist, but it's called the career, the degree is a speech language pathologist, the one that I have, because I could have taken many paths in this career. Essentially, let me break down speech pathology. It's when you're working with the musculature, so everything related to your speaking. Pathology, your internals, your tongue, your vocal cords, even your spine, all of these things actually matter.
I'm like, up now.
To how we regulate, how we speak, how the output comes, your brain, what's happening in your brain for you to talk. People really underestimate how much is going on for you to speak. Just like if you hurt your back and you can't walk, there's nothing worse than being ill. And the role of a speech pathologist is to come in, whether it's post-surgery or an accident somebody had, or a birth situation somebody had, or suddenly somebody can't swallow anymore, or they're coughing when they're swallowing, and to unravel the pathology. What is happening in the person? And can we fix it? Or can we provide service that will at least keep it level, not getting any worse?
Right.
So that's the gist of a speech language pathologist. But there's so many pathways. Like I said, you can work in a hospital, you can work with adults, you can work with elder, geriatric, you can work with pediatric, which is what I chose. And then of course the middle range. But you can work with swallowing needs, foundational needs. I chose speech language pathology. I did do clinical rotations in a retirement home. Delaware Valley Veterans Home, it was called. All the veterans were going there. It was a government place. I don't know. It was very nice. And I was very affected because I'm an empath and I lead with my heart. And I would meet these elderly people there that were like 80 years old, but they were the coolest, like young kids in an adult body. And they were dying on me. Like we would have lunch the day before and the next day Bob was gone. And I was like, this is not for me. I was heartbroken all the time.
Right.
I was missing Bob.
That's why I don't work with, children's rights issues.
Oh my gosh.
Or animal rights issues.
And then I went into pediatrics, and my first experiences with that were like horrible neighborhoods in Philly that nobody wanted to go to, but I was single, dating, I didn't have kids. And I was like, well, like if there's ever a time,
Right.
it's now. And I would pin now my husband, but he was my boyfriend then, and I would say, I'm going into this house that literally doesn't have a window. Like if I don't come out of there, you come for me.
Right.
That's the neighborhood I was going to. But those kids needed me the most. And once I got into a swing there, I started to take those families to the local library and make it like a program. And this is where all my ideas started to form for my business. But yeah, speech language pathology is an incredible field. You need to have a master's degree to practice. If you go just for the undergrad program, you can work as an SLPA, so speech language pathology assistant, which is like the tier of undergrad level. You completed your education, you have a bachelor's in communication sciences and disorders, and then you didn't go for the boards or the master's program. If you do go for that, that's the master's level that I have, and there's also a doctorate level.
Wow.
And once you have that, you have to complete your clinical rotation hours with ASHA. That's the American Speech and Hearing Association. And once you have that, you finally have your letters, CCC-SLP, you're a clinically competent clinician, and you can finally have a license.
Wow. So
it's a journey.
Yes, it's a journey, which a lot of professions are.
Yeah.
And so at what
But
point,
it's worth it. I'd say that.
that is good, because not everybody feels that way after they've
Sure.
spent all this time,
Well, it was for me, I think you can hear that.
Yes, I could hear it in your voice. Yeah. And so at what point do you decide, I can do this on my own? I want to start something different.
Yeah. So initially I worked a lot for not home care, but home care style placement companies. They were the middleman. They would put me in a school. They would put me in a daycare. I would work through early intervention. And I kind of, I was like, this is cool, but I think I could do this myself. Like, why do I need this middle person?
Right.
And my mom at the time, I came to her, I'm like, Mom, I don't know what I need to do, but I think I can open this business. And she's like, well, let's figure it out. And we thought we would need to like hire a nurse because we knew the home care model. A lot of my friends had home cares at the time. This was years ago, but I remember the conversations together and us going to talk to people that we knew who were nurses and being like, would you support us and like open this business with us? And then later when we found out we didn't need anybody, we're like,
You're like, so much easier.
So yeah, we put in the application process, and it took a year. So I did continue to work at other entities and learn, and I even went to work as a service coordinator so that I could understand how the cases are coming from the background, a piece of it from where I worked. It's a learning experience. I'm still learning. But from that moment when I could kind of see the picture, the puzzle was coming together for me, I knew I was going to run it myself.
That's such an important skill, ability to have, and to understand the importance of like getting sort of the pieces of a business, right? And like people assume, oh, you just need to learn one aspect of the profession. But the reality is, especially when you first start out, unless you're super well funded and you could hire immediately, which that's not the reality for most people. It's like you kind of have to do everything at first. And I almost think that that's the way to go, just because when you are at the point where you can hire someone, then you know what you want, because you know what that role entails, what it takes, because you did it, right? And so like you understand like these are the skills that I need for this particular role. So I think people should appreciate like the fact that you went and got experience from the back end, like understanding, how the cases were I guess distributed at that point, because that's what you ultimately end up doing too.
And that's exactly how we did it. Yeah.
So you got to,
and that's how I started. My business was only early intervention at the time because I didn't even look at how to credential with insurance yet. I didn't have that in my mind's eye view. Right. I was focusing here and growing here. And then later, the patients told me, well, how else can I see you? I'm out of hours here. I don't want to waste cash on this. And I was like, okay, how else can they see me? And that's when this other side of the business grew into insurance-based practice.
I mean, that's also on you, right? The fact that you were open and receptive to really not only learn your business, but learn a different aspect of it, how you can introduce a different, stream of income.
I think that's people ask me that. Well, how do you know what to do? And I'm like, well, I'm always analyzing the situation. And to some extent, growing up, being a people pleaser causes this, because now I'm not only like, well, this is good enough for me. What works for them, right? How do I please these people? If they like me, they're going to tell their neighbor, their friend, and that's more business for my company. So that's my wheelhouse.
Right. But you have to be receptive to that. Some people are not. They're like, this is my box and I'm going to stay doing that. And I think that doesn't fuel growth. I'm sure, yes, if you try something, you might fail at it. But if you don't, that's something that you're not giving yourself the opportunity to get.
A million. And I like what you just brought something up to me that was so good. You were like, because I did it ground up and it's a bootstrapped company. I still am 100% owner. I've never taken $1. There's no private equity. There's no investor. It's me. Everything that you see that's built is me. And like, I'm very proud to this point of that now, because as I grew in this last decade, and most recently in the last 2 years, joining so many women's organizations and learning about the funding that's out there. And people are like, well, I started and I was given $500,000.
Right.
But then you're like, I got $500,000. It's okay. I mean, again, that's a different mindset.
Right. No,
but I had to earn every dollar in order to save it to hire a person.
Right.
I had to build, and I learned that too. I wasn't a business person. I just had a great visionary idea. And even at my 5-year mark, I took a business course because I knew I was making money. I couldn't figure out how to make data out of it. I wasn't educated.
Right.
So I had to take those steps too.
Which is amazing, because some people are like, oh, they don't track anything.
They're like, I'm making money.
Exactly. Great. They don't really think about the long-term growth or like how they can implement those.
I was there
funds.
too, though.
Right.
I was those people. That was me.
Was there something that sort of forced you to have that shift, or like propelled you to want to think more business-minded?
Yeah. So I think after a few insurance audits, you get a little more business-minded. You're like, oh, because they can come back up to 5 years and collect on whatever they think.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
from carriers, you mean?
From carriers. Right. They pay out and then everything looks good. And like 3 years later, you get a letter. Hi, we were doing an audit and you actually owe us $75,000. And you're like, what? What do you mean? So for me, from those types of moments, and everything was fine. I mean, you have to pay. It is what it is. It's a business. But when you're in the wrong and you don't have to pay, how do you prove it?
Right.
How organized are you? How clean are your books and your data points that you can turn around and be like, no, I don't. Look, boom, boom, boom. And I wanted to be that clear. So that's when I was like, no, I need to know so much. I need to be so organized. I don't want even a question to arise here. And it took me a couple of oopsies to get there. Thankfully, only money was involved.
Right. Of course.
Because, but thank God it happened, because today, if I'm in, my company actually is about to franchise.
That's amazing.
Which I'm so excited. We're going to be a nationwide brand.
That's amazing. So obviously that moment of knowing that uncomfortable feeling of maybe, not being as organized as you wanted to be propelled you to say, no, this is not okay, which then has now propelled you to be able to be in this position and to use this model.
Yeah, because how can you this was a strategic financial planner, and he was like, you're in $1 million business. At that point, I had just hit $1 million, I think. And he was like, do you know what your accounts receivables are? What are you waiting on? I'm like, why do I don't need to know what I'm waiting on. I know what I made. He's like, let's get you in this course, because what you didn't make is so important. And I was like, wow. I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
It looked great. I have no idea.
Right. That's pretty wild. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that. There's missed opportunity. If you're not tracking, you're not understanding where potential revenue you're missing that can add more value, which allows you to help more people.
And yes, through your growth.
Right.
So
What tools do you, so you've mentioned a couple of classes, what tools would you say for fellow women entrepreneurs that want to get in the game? Like what would you recommend them to do?
if you're still on Excel tracking your income, please get QuickBooks or some other program. There's so many. You can build a program now between Claude and ChatGPT.
I know.
It's the craziest.
I know.
Like, what a time.
Yes.
I didn't have any of these things, but I remember like year 3, I got an HR company, I got QuickBooks. And if you have, at least 10 staff, please be organized, because you don't want to fall into a situation where, oh man, if only I had this in a better view, I would have figured it out.
Right.
Have the view.
Right.
See what you're looking at. Have a quarterly meeting with your team, review numbers, plan for new numbers. The only way you can go up is if you plan today for the next time. The idea here is just the idea here. But when it's written down and it's trackable, now you're in a different ballgame, because you have something to hold you accountable.
Right.
And of course, if you need a good accountant, somebody trustworthy, but somebody who wants to help you.
Yes.
And there's so many great people on social media that are now like, if your accountant is not offering you bump, you're with the wrong accountant.
You want partners.
Partners.
Not like actual partners, but people that are going to invest.
They have
in
to have your
you.
back.
Yes.
Yes. So many times I would go to the other accountants I had and be like, hey, you didn't tell me this or that or that. And then I had kids. I'm like, I didn't know I could basically hire my kids.
Yes.
I have a kids play gym in my facility. I make my kids models all the time.
Right.
That's a business addition.
Right.
You
Correct.
can use that.
Yeah. Which is going to benefit you.
But people
and
don't
your
know.
kids. Right.
People don't know. And then it's you have to learn how to use your resources to your best interests, and be smart. A smart business person hires people smarter than them.
Right.
To make it all happen.
Yeah, you can't be closed, and I don't get that from you at all. You can't be closed off to, things that you don't know.
I think generally I'm very open-minded, and you have to let those fears go, because the minute you start to negate I really want to open something, but, just try.
Right.
But later.
Yeah. You can't focus on the negatives, and I don't think that you're a negative person. I think your positivity it fills the room.
Thank you.
So I think that's an integral part of entrepreneurship, because if you don't believe that you can do something, I just think it's really hard for you to accomplish.
Yeah, agree.
You have to really buy into your idea, because who the hell, is gonna buy into you if you don't buy into you? I just really feel that.
Exactly.
Whatever your idea is, whatever your business is. And so tools-wise, what type of education did you, beyond obviously your training, your specialized training in speech pathology, you mentioned, you took a business course.
Yes.
What other tools did you use to maximize your learning capacity?
Well, most recently, I got a coach, and that person helped me to analyze things a little bit differently than I understood, but that is an investment. So again, that's something I can do today.
Right.
In the early stages, like I said, the 5-year mark, that course I took was expensive too.
Right.
It was I think it was $40,000. And I was terrified. I had never spent that type of money on something. And they were like, if you don't get your ROI, we can discuss whatever. Okay. But I did times 2.
Wow.
Because repositioning the things I was doing wrong, cleaning that up, making policies for them makes all the change. So that was that. I read a couple books, 3-Day Work Week. Well, that one's more personal for me, but but early starting, you do have to dedicate the time. I think, I didn't do much more than that. Yeah. I have a good course, a good coach, and a good book, and I think you're off to the races.
To go, right. And the willingness.
To
continue to.
But that's psychological. If you don't yet have that, or you're working through, maybe see a therapist. What's the block?
Right.
If you haven't tried, you haven't had the ability to fail. But if you fail, you can learn. So there's no harm. No harm, no foul. Just go for it.
Yeah, I love that. I don't think a lot of people feel that way. No. I think it's...
I also didn't have $1. It wasn't like I was rich and I didn't care. It was a business. Right. I didn't have anything.
You wanted to make something of yourself.
Yes.
You mentioned you're married.
Yes.
So I like to talk about this because I find it interesting. How has entrepreneurship impacted your marriage? Like, do you think it's been beneficial for your relationship? And obviously you don't have to go into detail as much as you want, but I find this interesting because my husband and I are in business together. He has a career, I have a separate one. But we really enjoy working together, and I think it helps in our dynamic.
This is an interesting question for sure. So my husband also owns his own business. So we're both entrepreneurs, but separately.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know how to explain this so much. So there comes a point, maybe, I think early in our lives, my husband carried the way for some time, and then tables turn.
Right.
And I graduated and I got a degree and I started to work, but my business was new. And again, I was still kind of like dripping money. But then to see what it grows into now, I don't know that he is like thrilled that I'm like making so much money. He doesn't like tell me like that, I think he's very proud of me, but our business lives are very separate for me. Sometimes I wish my husband was more involved because he comes from a finance background, but he's so busy with his own business,
Right.
That I also find myself offering him advice sometimes that he doesn't want to have. But I think that the brain capacity and the ability to brainstorm and the ability to uplift each other in each other's businesses is there, which is really nice.
Yes, I think it's so beneficial.
He can call me for like, hey, did you experience this? Or when they were hiring their first employee, I already had many. So I was able to offer some advice and information that helped him and his business. But that's really the extent of our experience together as far as that. At this point, he makes jokes like he's going to be retiring soon if I keep up how I'm going. So I'm like, great, but don't retire. Okay, keep working. Can drive me crazy.
That's funny. So, just to veer off into a different conversation, you mentioned that you sometimes want to do it all. And you kind of are putting something else on your plate. You are writing a children's book, and I'm so excited to read it.
Thank you.
How did that process come about? I'm just based on our conversation offline, you were telling me that it's something that you've been wanting to do for a long time.
Yes, I can't believe it's finally coming to life. It's a very special story that it was born in my parents' old home over coffee, and because I grew up and they always instilled in me. My mom always was like positive mindset. You can do it. Don't let yourself think you can't do something. I want the children of today whose parents are busier than ever, whose school education is unclear what's going on, who are surrounded by some uncertainties. And I think a lot of time today, kids do feel like they can't accomplish things. They're going against AI. They have to work harder to be more creative, to be like, I can do stuff because they have a robot that can do it.
Right.
And I just want them to grow up with that instead of feeling ever defeated. And maybe mom and dad didn't have time to tell them that day, hey, buddy, don't worry that this didn't work out. You'll get it next time. You got it. I want this book to do that. I want them to be able to read it and start from a young age because it's suitable for 2-3 years old. Up till 10, I would say.
Or adults.
Even adults.
We forget
the message is innocent but super positive to basically always believe in yourself, have confidence, and have the right mentality. And I think my parents screwed that into me, really.
Yeah.
And I want to share that pixie dust. My mom passed 4 years ago, and I think that this helps her stay alive. So
yeah, continuing her legacy in all of your actions, your kids, and hopefully all the other kids that read this book and are touched by that very message.
Yes.
I want to thank you so much for joining me today. If there's anything you'll take away from this is that I hope that people will believe in themselves and believe in their abilities, regardless of where you start out in life. And we'll link your book hopefully on the show notes. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. And I hope everybody, if you're out there, you get the book, take a picture, tag me. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see your experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I want to thank Luba for joining us for this special conversation, for you for watching us and showing support to our channel. If you enjoyed this conversation, I hope you'll follow along and give us some tips. Who should we bring on the podcast next?